Hello and welcome to Portimao. This, of course, the penultimate round of MotoGP in 2025 in this, our longest ever season. We're in uncharted territory at round 21 of 2022 as the rain tries its very best to fall here in Portimao. But fortunately for the MotoGP grid, they were able to put together a 45-minute session in dry conditions, some vital dry track time out of potentially rain interrupted practice getting underway at 3 o'clock local time here in Portugal in exactly 3 hours time. So wherever you are, make sure you're tuning in for that very, very important session as all of the riders try and get into the top 10 for the penultimate time this year and automatically into Q2. So what have we seen this morning? Well, not this man, but this team, Gresini Racing, having yet another phenomenal start. Alex Marquez, fastest and looking pretty comfortable, you have to say. This I love, by the way. For those of you that don't know, there are huge rivalries between the Ducati teams. Gresini and VR46 always like to get the better of one another. And Gresini, I imagine, were put out ever so slightly last year when it was decided by the factory Ducati squad that VR46 were going to be the factory-supported outfit, despite the fact that they were able to put Marc Marquez inside the top 3 of the World Championship. Now, despite not being the factory Ducati-supported team, they have, as you can see, clinched runner-up, Rookie of the Year, Best Independent Team, Best Independent Rider, and they are making sure that they rub VR46's noses in it. They are making sure that they let everybody at Ducati know that they are the most successful independent Ducati team. There are so many politics at play in the MotoGP paddock, and the rivalry between the different Ducati teams is one of the most fascinating ones, let me say. They love to get one up on one another, and right now it is Gresini that are certainly doing all of the smiling, all of the singing, all of the dancing, and for good reason as well. Is this man smiling? Well, you can see for yourself. No is the answer, because it was a pretty alarming start to the Portuguese Grand Prix for Pecco Bagnaia. We can normally tell with the Italian whether he's going to have a good weekend or a bad weekend, given his performances in the opening session of the weekend. And 17th, slower than stand-in Nicolo Bulega by a quarter of a second. Bulega, phenomenal, by the way, in 14th. But to be behind Bulega, alarming for Gigi Dall'Igna and Ducati. Once again, impossible to predict what we're going to see from Bagnaia, but it looks as though it's going to be one of those weekends where things just aren't coming naturally for him, and he's going to be up against it once again as the rain now does come down a little bit heavier. But the key contenders, definitely Alex Marquez, who yesterday said he's going to be able to ride free now that that weight, that expectation, that pressure has finally been released and he's secured second in the World Championship. He's going to have a very, very tough fights, though, coming courtesy of Aprilia. Spoke to Paolo Bonora, who is the race team manager down at Aprilia in that session, and he confirmed what we all expected. Last year, Maverick Viñales won the sprint, would have been on the podium if it wasn't for a technical problem on the final lap of the race. They came in here knowing that the Aprilia works around this place, and Paolo confirming that yesterday Marco Bezzecchi said, I like Portimao. I know that I can be strong here. So to me, that sounds like a match made in heaven. And Bez, who, yes, did have a blip in Malaysia, but that is the anomaly this year. We saw in Indonesia, in Australia, the level that Aprilia are at right now, and I think we're going to see more of the same from Bez, as he looks, of course, to try and wrap up third in the World Championship. Pecco Bagnaia is still in that fight, 5 points adrift of his good friend at the moment, with Pedro Acosta still in the mix, you have to say as well. 31 back of Bez. Acosta, another one to keep your eye on this weekend as he looks for that first ever MotoGP victory. But if this morning's session is anything to go by, it looks as though it is advantage Bezzecchi ahead of the final Grand Prix of the year next weekend in Valencia. Right, let's see if we can find some suspects to get a bit of an understanding of what we're going to see throughout the course of the weekend as we move from the Ducati part of pit lane down towards Yamaha. And of course, down here at Yamaha, all eyes will be on the satellite squad of Prima Pramac Yamaha, and in particular Miguel Oliveira, as the number 88 embarks on his final home Grand Prix in MotoGP. Of course, we'll be back here next year for World Superbikes when he moves into a seat swap, basically, with Toprak Razgatlioglu, who, by the way, interestingly enough, doing a private behind closed doors test on Sunday and Monday in a couple of days' time up in Aragon, his very first opportunity to try Yamaha's V4. So I'm sure we'll have some spies there to try and get a bit of an understanding of how Toprak gets on alongside Augusto Fernandez up at Aragon as Yamaha prepare for what hasn't been confirmed but surely will be getting confirmed in the coming week, that they will be moving full-time from the inline 4 to the V4 next year. A lot of work to be done there, though, after what we saw in Malaysia, but we'll get on to that in a second. As we look here at Aprilia, and it looks as though because of the rain, a lot of riders and team personnel are just trying to stay out of bother at the moment. So why don't we try and put some smiles on faces here in the Portimao paddock and see if there's anybody that wants to have a chit-chat about their experience here. This gentleman, I'm hoping, is going to be fluent in English because of the 43 shirt and cap. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm a bit surprised that I'm on an interview.
Well, yeah, we try and catch people by surprise. So I'm seeing a lot of support for Jack Miller, but I'm not hearing an Australian accent.
No, I'm from Belgium, actually. So I'm here also for Barry Baltus.
Okay.
Because I think the Moto2 is really exciting this year, and I think it's a crazy championship. So I'm really looking forward, especially with the light rain for this afternoon. So, it's always a pleasure to hear your comments and your intervention in the paddock. So it makes me feel like something, you know.
Well,
I'm impressed.
Well, thank you. We'd love to have you here. Why Jack Miller then? From Belgium. So what's the link for being a Jack Miller fan?
Well, I tried to make a long story short, but Jack has always been the most welcoming guy in the paddock, and I love his. I really love his driving style, and I had the chance to meet him back in Misano in 2021, and he really touched me because he offered me his boot, and I will always remember that day because it means something. Because I wrote something to him, and it meant something to me that day. And since that day, I'm I don't know. Every weekend is like a fiesta.
Absolutely, Viva Miller,
Viva Miller,
as ever.
But I love a lot of other riders, of course. I have so much respect for what they do. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. Crazy guys.
Well, great to meet you. What's your name?
I'm Jerome.
Nice to meet you, Jerome. Nice to meet you. Have a good weekend as well. And what's the? I saw. Was there a glove in there?
It's for Mr. Bezicki, which I love a lot.
Okay, another Bez fan as well. Lovely to meet you, Jerome. Have a good weekend. There we go, Jerome from Belgium, big Jack Miller fan. And I mean, I have to echo those sentiments. Jack Miller is, without doubt, one of the most welcoming guys in the MotoGP paddock. I mean, just goes to show you a lot about the character that is Jack Miller, that he was happy to take his boot off and give it to one of our fans here. Great to see that Jack is such a top guy as ever, as we see, and we should update you here because I'm just seeing some of the Fernandez family down here as the rain does start to come down now in front of the Trackhouse Racing concern. In fact, can I borrow that umbrella actually? I'm getting sodden here. I'm sorry that, let me try and do it in the middle. Our poor camera woman Olivia is going to get wet, so let's see if I can do it in the middle. But yeah, Raul Fernandez, big crash at turn 1 in that opening session of the weekend. He's currently on his way to local hospital for a CT scan. So let's see how Raul is and whether we're going to see him participating in the remainder of the weekend. I would imagine his participation is definitely in some serious doubt at the moment as a result of that big crash. So hopefully quick recovery, fast recovery to Raul Fernandez as we try and stay away from this rain. But this rain is going to really throw a spanner into the works because we saw it in Sepang 2 weeks ago. When it rains on a Friday afternoon, we see some slightly different riders up inside the top 10 than we expect there to be. A lot of podium contenders were forced into Q1 in Sepang. It was, for me, the most hotly anticipated, the most difficult Q1 to get out of the season so far, without a doubt. Luca Marini, Marco Bezzecchi, Firmino Aldeguer, Pecco Bagnaia were all in Q1, and all 4 of those riders had the opportunity to be on the podium in Malaysia. Of that, there is no doubt. But if you don't get out of Q1 and you're down on the 5th row of the grid, then your chances of being on the podium, and certainly your chances of fighting for the race win, are pretty much suddenly non-existent. It's going to be incredibly difficult to have any kind of success when you're having to fight through from row 5, row 6 of the grid in modern day MotoGP. As we dive in and take a little bit of cover as we see. Hello, sir. How are you? Nice to meet you. All good?
Yes.
Who are you a fan of? Alex Marquez or Firmino Aldeguer? Miguel Oliveira?
Alex Marquez.
Alex Marquez. Okay, and here he is as well. Good to meet you, sir. There we go. Big fan of Alex Marquez, but I'm going to run off and say hello to Alex as he gets a big hug from one of his companions here, a big kiss as well. That's lovely to see. I'm sure that these are long-time supporters of Alex as he gets a nice high five as well. And we'll quickly, Alex, all good? Very quickly, very quickly. Good start to the weekend.
Yeah, good start. Always I like to speak to you from the step.
You're trying to make me look as small. Yeah, this is better actually. There we go. Now we're at the same height.
Okay.
How was this morning?
Not bad, not bad. Good feeling. So looking forward for the afternoon. We'll see now that it's raining. So will be a tough day, but we need to be positive and go for it.
There we go. Right. Okay. That was nice just to be your height for a second. Thank you, Alex. Have a good rest of the weekend. There we go. What a thoughtful young man, allowing me to, for once, be able to look him in the eye and not be constantly doing that, which I have to do. As we see some of the, what I like to call, and I hope this catches on, this is the Firmino Aldeguer fan club. Guys, I want to call you the Firmaniacs. Does that work? The Firmaniacs? Okay, Firmino was having a great season. This weekend could be another good result, you think?
Yes, we are very proud of him because the expectations is amazing.
Yeah, he's having a great one. Well, good to meet you guys. Have a good weekend. You can always spot the Firmaniacs with their bright yellow as well. So there we go. I hope that one catches on. All of the fan clubs need special names, and for me, there's no better one. I've coined that myself, so hopefully it catches on. The Firmaniacs, of course. If you want to become a Firmaniac, then, well, I don't really know how you do, but I imagine just going to Instagram or something, search for the Firmino Aldeguer fan club. It's a fan club that I imagine over the coming weeks, months and years is going to grow. Given his performances, he was, again, bitterly unlucky in Sepang. Yes, go on, Didi, I will have the umbrella, thank you. I'm the superstar that I am, getting VIP treatment from our executive producer, Didi, as ever. Aldeguer was obviously red hot in Indonesia, huge expectations in Australia, and had all kinds of problems on the electronics. Then would have been on the podium in the sprint in Sepang. Again, had front tyre problems, was given the penalty and stripped of that third place finish. Had electric pace to fight for victory in the Grand Prix in Malaysia, and again, just some niggling electronic issues cost him the opportunity for fight for victory, and in the end it was a bitterly frustrating weekend. And a lot of people will look at Aldeguer's rookie season and say he's been very, very strong and he's going to be in a great position to fight for victories on a consistent basis next year. But there's a feeling within Gresini and within the Firmino Aldeguer camp that they haven't achieved probably what they would have hoped to achieve given his pace in some of the events this year, and whether it be rookie mistakes from him or just some small technical issues and things not going his way, that it's cost him the opportunity to fight for bigger things on a more consistent basis. So Aldeguer, we're all expecting he's going to be taking a huge step forward next year, and I think he's going to cause a lot of people a lot of problems. As we finish up down here at Honda, who, when we speak about improvements, there is no bigger improver in the MotoGP paddock, certainly since the summer break, than Honda, and that is underlined by the fact that 19 points scored accumulatively across the 4 Honda riders over the next 2 Grand Prix will see them lose their concessions status. Now, what does that mean? It means that the official riders, Joan Mir, Luca Marini, Johan Zarco, and next year Diogo Moreira, won't be able to test during the season outside of the permitted testing days. They won't be able to upgrade their engine during the season. Now, of course, for all of the manufacturers, well, not all of the manufacturers, for KTM, Aprilia and Ducati, there is an engine freeze going into next year, which means that they will be having the same engines applied to their machines as we've seen throughout this year. Despite them losing the concessions, Honda will be allowed to bring an updated engine for 2026, but then won't be able to bring any further updates. That will be homologated at the start of the year and will remain the same throughout 2026. Yamaha, on the other hand, will will confirm to be keeping hold of their bottom rank concession status, which means that V4 engine can be updated throughout the season. It also permits them to more testing time, more testing days, a few more privileges, including slightly more aerodynamic updates as well. So it is a big change for Honda, but obviously that change comes as a result of improved performances and results. So it's not a bad thing, and they look really prepped to take yet another step forward in 2026 as well. All of the noises we're hearing from inside the camp are that 2026 RC213V is again another step forward, and Honda are going to be real players going into next year. 2026 at the moment, it's going to be fascinating. There's so much to play for on track in terms of Ducati feeling like they're as vulnerable as ever. Off track as well, there's going to be so much talk about contracts and where people end up for 2027 that those riders that are wanting to make a move or wanting to prove their worth are going to be as motivated as ever to show what they can do. It's going to be an electric year. So, yeah, that all starts, of course, a week on Tuesday at the Valencia test, where we can see the debut of Diogo Moreira and Toprak Razgat Lioglu as well. So make sure you stick around. MotoGP.com, the only place where you can see live, uninterrupted coverage of the Valencia test. So make sure you stick around for that one. And on that note, with the rain starting to fall and me quite stupidly coming out to do this live without my rain jacket, I'm going to bid you a fond farewell, and we'll be back with you tomorrow after what I imagine, if this rain continues, a upside down, topsy-turvy, unpredictable qualifying session, because who's going to be in the top 10 later on today? Well, your guess is as good as mine as this rain continues. Should make it pretty interesting. Make sure you tune in, 3 o'clock local time, MotoGP practice, an hour session where anything can, probably will, end up happening. See you tomorrow.